5th, 2021. This session will be conducted from 1:00 p.m. to 3:00 p.m. My name is Michelle Cook, and I am the Legislative Manager for Office of Legislative Services with Legislative Branch. I would like to go ahead and turn over the floor to Mr. So. If he could introduce himself, I would appreciate it. Mr. So.
Good afternoon, everyone. She Matthew Sonche, Tachi Mishna, Trouble Habashin, Kintachini Doshanala, Ashin Dashe, Teragon, Doshagan, Bo, Teragon Dead, yes, and Asha. And I'm currently assisting with the public hearing with presentation of agenda and so on.
Thank you, Mr. So. Is there any delegates on the line? Okay, they will probably join us later on in the call. So I will go ahead and go over the agenda right now. If you happen to be on the Zoom screen, you will see the agenda. It is a shared screen. However, I will also read off the screen if you are just participating by phone. Number 1, welcome introductions. 2, purpose of the public hearing. 3, presentation on Navajo Nation School Board Apportionment Plan. Excuse me, if you, could you please mute your phones? This would deter the background noise, so if you are not speaking, please mute your phones. Thank you. Going on, 3, presentation on Navajo Nation School Board Apportionment Plan. HGH SCAP 05-20, that's the resolution number. 4, the public hearing guidelines. 5, we will open it to the public for their comments and recommendations regarding the Navajo Nation School Board Apportionment Plan. Please note, there's no derogatory comments as all comments are considered public record. Please state your name, the organization you represent, if applicable, for the record, and state your reason or comment. 6, close of public hearing. The agenda is shown on the screen, so we will move on forward to the purpose of the public hearing. The purpose of the hearing is primarily for purposes of getting input and comments on Plan 6. The court has approved the plan, but is requiring more input and comment from the public. Plan 6 summarize. Plan 6 has the 5 agencies listed: Central, Eastern, Fort Defiance, Northern, Western. The plan shows the list of schools in each of the agencies on the left-hand column. You will notice this on Exhibit A of the resolution that I have recently listed, HGH SCAP 0520. First one says Central Agency. There are 2 school boards, each representing more than 1 school. Each board will consist of 5 members. There will be a total of 10 school board members in the agency. Eastern Agency, there will be 6 school boards, 3 representing more than 1 school and more than 1 chapter. The other 3 schools will be the schools in the satellite communities, each with their own school board, chapter based. Each board will consist of 5 members with a total of 30 school boards in the agency. Fort Defiance, there will be 2 school boards, each representing more than 1 school and more than 1 chapter. Each board will consist of 5 members, totaling 10 members in the agency. Northern Agency, there will be 3 school boards, 2 representing more than 1 school, each with 5 members. Navajo Prep will have its own school board with 4 members at large by agency. Each of the 3 school boards will represent more than 1 chapter. All positions are at large except Shiprock chapter, which will have 2 members. There will be a total of 14 school board members in the Northern Agency. Western Agency, there will be 3 school boards, 2 representing more than 1 school, each with 5 members. Richfield Residential Hall will have its own board with 4 members. All positions in agencies will be elected at large from assigned chapters. What is a school board apportionment plan? A school board apportionment plan determines the number of positions on a school board. The plan takes into account the number of school children and chapters to be represented. Here are 2 provisions from the election code regarding this. The apportionment plan shall be based at a minimum of on the number of students attending from 1 or more chapters. Each local community school board shall provide to the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee and the Division of Dinet Education current and accurate information regarding the number of students attending the local community schools for use in development of the apportionment plan by October 2003 and every 4 years thereafter. This is according to the Navajo Nation Code 11 NNC subsection 11D. Health, Education, and Human Services Committee shall apportion the number of school board seats among the chapter or chapters represented in each local community school board. This apportionment shall establish election precincts for each local community school board containing approximately equal numbers of students attending the local community school at the time of the apportionment. This is according to Navajo Nation Code 11 NNC subsection 11B, cited in part. 3, what types of schools are covered under apportionment plans for schools under the election code? Generally, those funded or operated by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Bureau of Indian Education. Here's what the election code says. Local community school board. Members of a local community school board who are elected pursuant to the Navajo Nation election code. Local community school board members, including those members elected to the governing boards of schools operated or funded by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIE, for the education of Navajo children within the Navajo Nation, but does not include members of the school boards for private, parochial, and state public school. This is according to Navajo Nation Code 11 NNC subsection 1X. 4, when and how often is the school board apportionment plan adopted? The election code requires that the school board apportionment plans be adopted every 4 years. Here is the law from the election code. On or before the first Monday of November 2003 and every 4 years thereafter, the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee of the Navajo Nation Council shall set the size of each local community school board and shall apportion the number of school board seats among the chapter or chapters represented in each local community school board. This apportionment shall establish election precincts for each local community school board containing approximately equal numbers of students attending the local community schools at the time of the apportionment. This is according to Navajo Nation Code 11 NNC subsection 11B, cited in part. 5, what does consultation mean for purposes of developing and adopting a school board apportionment plan? In the development of a school board apportionment plan, there is a requirement of consultation. Essentially, the election code defines consultation as follows. Consultation means notice of the proposed school board apportionment plan and an opportunity to comment on the proposed apportionment plan. The consultation period is 60 days. There is a consultation period that runs for at least 60 days, and during this time, public input is provided for, as well as hearings and opportunity to submit written comments. Public input. There must be an opportunity for input provided to the Navajo Board of Election Supervisors, parents, local school boards, chapters, school board organizations such as agency school boards, and the Navajo Division of the Net Education. This input can either be in writing or through oral testimony. Hearings. Although hearings are not required, the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee can hold hearings at the schools, chapters, communities, or agencies affected by the proposed reapportionment plan. If hearings are held, there can be reasonable restrictions imposed at these hearings, such as length of time for testimony. This is according to Navajo Nation Code 11 NNC subsection 1H. Written comments. Written comments can be provided by those that are interested in submitting them. 6, how many members can make up a school board? 3 to 7 members. Here's what the election code says. A local community school board shall consist of not less than 3 nor more than 7 members based upon the current adopted apportionment plan. This is according to Navajo Nation Code 11 NNC subsection 11A. 7, who must approve a school board apportionment plan? Under the Navajo Nation Election Code, the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee of the Navajo Nation Council approves the final school board apportionment plan. This is according to Navajo Nation 11 NNC subsection 11B. 8, what happens after Health, Education, and Human Services Committee approves and adopts a school board apportionment plan? It is then submitted to the Navajo Board of Education, election supervisors for use in the elections. This is according to Navajo Nation Code 11 NNC subsection 11E. If you would like to post any of your, if you like to send in any of your written comments, please send them to Health, Education, and Human Services Committee, attention School Board Apportionment Plan, P.O. Box 670, Winter Rock, Arizona, 86515. There's also a fax number that is available, and that number is 928-871-7474. You can also email your comments to schoolboard@navajo-nsn.gov. I will now turn over the floor to Mr. so that he can go over the apportionment plan. After that, we will go ahead and move to open the floor to hearing comments. Mr. So?
Thank you. Next up is presentation on the school board apportionment plan. As you can see, the resolution that identifies Plan 6 is through Resolution HEHSC CAP-05-20. And this plan was adopted by the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee back on April 15th of 2020. So the plan before you is it's called Plan 6, and these are the positions. The first agency that's listed is called Central Navajo Agency, and it has 2 school boards that are listed. The first school board name is called Central Navajo Schools K-12. It's a 5-member board with the following schools: Rocky Ridge Boarding School, Cottonwood Day School, Many Farms High School. It's a 5-member board with the following school board seats: 1 board member representing Chinle Chapter, 2 board members representing Many Farms Chapter, and 1 at-large board member representing Round Rock, Sedge, Rough Rock chapters. And the last school board seat is 1 at-large board member representing Touchy, Blue Gap, Whippoorwill, Setlani, Cottonwood chapters. The next school board that is listed is called Chinle Navajo Schools K-12. It is a 5-member board with the following schools: Black Mesa Community School, Rough Rock Community School, Nazlini Community School, Lakachiga Community School, Pinyon Community School, and Many Farms Community School. It's a 5-member school board with the following school board seats: 1 at-large board member representing Lakachiga, Saley, Wheatfields, and Ramrock chapters. 1 board member at-large representing Sedge, Rough Rock, Many Farms chapters. And then 1 school board seat for Chinle chapter. And then there's also another school board seat at-large with Hard Rock, Pinyon, Forest Lake, and Black Mesa chapters. And the last school board seat that's listed is an at-large position representing Whippoorwill, Touchy, Blue Gap, Noslany, Setlani, Cottonwood chapters. The total number of school board positions is 10 for Fort Defiance Agency. The next agency that's listed is Eastern Navajo Agency. The first school board that is listed is called Shushpitwo Schools, K-12. It is a 5-member school board with the following schools: Bread Springs Day School, Chichita Jones Ranch Community School, and Wingate K-12 schools. It's a five-member school board with the following school board seats: 1 at-large with Chichita, Bahala, Bread Springs, Setlichi, Manilito, Tseyato chapters. 1 school board member representing Church Rock chapter. 1 school board member representing Ayampito chapter. 1 at-large board seat representing Pinedale, Mariana Lake chapters. And the last seat is an at-large board seat representing Theroux, Baca Prewitt, Smith Lake chapters. The next school board that is listed is called Estosa Crown Point Schools. It's a 5-member board with the following schools: Baca Gloria Yaja Community School, Lake Valley Navajo School, Ahe Community School, Mariana Lake Community School, Debe Yaja Habitin or Borrego Pass School, Ojo Encino Day School, Pueblo Pintado Community School, Estosa Beoftra Community School. It's a 5-member board with the following school board seats: 1 board member representing Baca Prewitt chapter, 1 at-large board member representing Pinedale, Mariana Lake, Smith Lake, Theroux chapters. The next is a board seat that is at-large representing Tse'ahe, Nahoydish Gige, Lake Valley, White Rock, and Crown Point chapters. The next is an at-large board seat representing Counselor, Ojo Encino, and Pueblo Pintado chapters. And the last school board seat is an at-large seat representing Vicente, Littlewater, Casimir Lake, and White Horse Lake chapters. The third school board that is listed is called Eastern Navajo Schools. It is a 5-member school board with following schools listed: Natlajim Jota or Torion Day School, Zef Mountain Community School, Hana Glen Community School Dormitory. It is a 5-member school board with the following school board seats: 2 school board members representing Torion chapter, 2 school board members representing Huerfano chapter, and 1 school board seat representing Naizi chapter. The 4th school board seat that is also listed is Alamo Navajo School Board. It is a 5-member school board with all 5 school board members coming from Alamo chapter. The 5th school board is Rama Navajo School Board or Pine Hill School. It's a 5-member board with all 5 school board members coming from Rama chapter. And the 6th school board that is listed is Tohajula Community School. It is a 5-member school board with all 5 school board seats coming from Tohajula chapter. The total number of school boards represented in Eastern Navajo Agency is 30. Next up is Fort Defiance Agency. There are 2 school boards, as previously mentioned. The first school board is called Tsehotoy 1 Fort Defiance Schools. It is a 5-member school board with following schools: Pine Springs Day School, Sebadelkai Boarding School, Jetaza Elementary School, and Crystal Boarding School. It is a 5-member school board with the following seats: 1 board member at-large representing Red Lake and Crystal chapters, 1 board member representing Whippoorwill chapter, 1 school board member representing Low Mountain chapter, 1 school board member representing Tisto chapter, and the last board seat is an at-large position representing Hawk, Lupton, Nahat-Adzil chapters. The next school board seat that is listed is called Tsehotoy 2 Fort Defiance Schools. It's a 5-member school board with the following schools: Hunters Point Boarding School, Wide Ruins Community School, Kindathachi Olta, Dilcon Community School, Greasewood Springs Community School, Choshkwe Community School, Tishakin Residential Hall, and Winslow Residential Hall. It's a 5-member school board with the following school board seats: 1 at-large representing Nosh Chitty, Tohatchi, County Canyon, Bahaskla, Mexican Springs chapters. The next school board seat is 1 at-large representing Fort Defiance, St. Michael's chapters. The 3rd board seat is 1 at-large representing Oak Springs, Hawk, Lupton, Nahat-Adzil, Wide Ruins chapters. The next school board seat is an at-large position representing Steamboat, Kintachi, Ganado, Clagato, Cornfields, and Wide Ruins chapters. And the last seat is an at-large board position representing Greasewood Springs, White Cone, Dilcon, Jedito, and Tistos chapters. The total number of school board seats represented in this apportionment plan is 10 for Fort Defiance Agency. The next school board agency that's listed is Northern Navajo Agency. The first school board is called Northern Navajo Schools, and it's a 5-member school board with the following schools: Cove Day School, Sanasti Day School, Baclabado Day School, Tohaile Community School, Aneth Community School, Tisnas Plus Community School, Minahanzat Community School, and Red Rock Day School. It is a 5-member school board with the following school board seats: 1 at-large board member representing Aneth, Red Mesa, Tothacun, and Mexican Water chapters; 1 board member at-large representing Tisnas Pas, Baclabado, Gadiaheto Koa, Tzedakon chapters. And the next is an at-large seat representing Cove, Red Valley chapters. The next is a school board seat representing Sanasti, Sugar Hills, Toadlena, and Newcomb chapters. And the last school board seat is an at-large position representing Shiprock, Minahanzad, Upper Fruitland, and San Juan chapters. The next school board that is listed is called Nataninar Schools K-12. It is a 5-member school board with the following schools. The first school is Shiprock Associated Schools, Kintail Residential Campus, Tensades Aha Dinepo or Rock Point Community School. It is a 5-member school board with the following school board seats: 2 school board members representing Shiprock chapter, 1 at-large representing Rock Point and Round Rock chapters, 1 at-large representing Gadiahe Tokoe, Tzedakon chapters. And the last is a school board member at-large representing Sanasti, Tilbury Hills, Toadlena, Newcomb chapters. And the last school board that is listed is Navajo Preparatory School. It is a 4-member school board with the following school board seats: 1 at-large with Northern Navajo Agency, 1 at-large representing Eastern Navajo Agency, 1 at-large representing Fort Defiance Agency, and the last is an at-large position representing Chinle Navajo Agency, Western Navajo Agency. The total number of school boards represented in this apportionment plan is 14 for Northern Navajo Agency. And the last school board agency is a Western Navajo Agency. There are 3 school boards that are listed for Western Navajo Agency, and they are the following. The first school board is called Toananas Desert Tuba City Schools 1 K-12. It is a 5-member school board with the following following schools. The first is Denahotso Boarding School, Tonalia Day School, Kaibito Boarding School, Kansas Community School, and Tuba City Boarding School. It's a 5-member school board with the following school board seats: 2 board members who are at-large representing Tonalia, Tonanas Desert chapters, 1 at-large representing Tsapikin and Kaibito chapters. The next is an at-large board member representing Bodaway Gap, Coal Mine, Bodaway Gap, Coal Mine, Canyon, and Cameron chapters. And the last is a school board seat at-large representing Kayenta, Oljeto, Denahotso, Chichimpado chapters. The next school board that is listed is called Toananas Desert Schools 2 K-12. It's a 5-member school board with the following schools: Little Finger Community School, Knotters Farm Community School, Chichimpado Community School, Quintlana Bordertown Dormitory, Loop Schools Incorporated, Gray Hills Academy High School, and Shanto Preparatory School. It's a 5-member school board with the following school board seats: 2 school board members at-large representing Tonalia, Toananas Desert chapters, 1 at-large representing Tsapikin, Kaibito, and Shanto chapters. The next school board seat is an at-large seat representing Kayenta, Oljeto, Denahotso, Chichimpdo, and Natisan chapters. And the last school board seat that is listed in this school board is an at-large position representing Loop, Sititoa, and Tuolani Lake chapters. And the last school board that is listed is Richfield Residential Hall. It's identified as a 4-member school board with the following school board seats: 1 at-large representing Toananas Desert Bodaway Gap chapters, 1 at-large representing Denahotso, Kayenta chapters. The next is an at-large position representing Oljeto, Rough Rock chapters. And the last school board seat in this school board is an at-large position representing Lachi, Kaibito, and Natis On and Shantu chapters. The total number of school board members represented in Western Agency is 14. And that concludes the apportionment plan presentation.
Thank you, Mr. So. Going back to the agenda. Number 4, the public hearing guidelines. Please mute your phone to deter background noise and so that we can clearly hear the speakers that are making comments and recommendations regarding the apportionment plan. Please no derogatory comments, as all comments are considered public record. When you are called upon, please state your name, the organization represented, if applicable, for the record, and state your reason or comment. When we call upon you, you will have 5 minutes. We will go ahead and open it up to the floor. So if there is anyone who would like to have a comment or a reason, please go ahead and start. Is there anyone who would like to provide a comment or a reason at this time? Is there anyone who would like to provide a comment or reason at this time?
And if you're on mute, you can press *6 to unmute yourself if you would like to speak.
School Board Association.
Can you repeat yourself, sir? You are kind of breaking up.
This is Jordan Ed City calling from the Napa School Board Association.
Hello, Mr. Ed City. You have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Comment is for the Northern Navajo Agency School Boards. As you know, the Napa Olcott School Board Association, known as the BOSBA, looks over school boards throughout the Navajo Nation. So this is the comment concerns of the Northern Navajo Agency School Boards. So recruiting plans and increased forums, true stakeholders will not.
Hello, Mr. Ed City. I do believe we've lost him. Is there anyone who has a comment or a reason at this time? Is there anyone that would like to state a reason or comment at this time?
Eleanor
Yes.
Smith has
Hello,
her
Ms. Smith.
hand raised.
Yes, we can. You have 5 minutes.
Yeah, for giving me this time. I know I have already submitted my comments yesterday, but I would just like to reiterate that my position is against Apportionment Plan 6 due to the reasons that I'll be stating. First, I'd like to introduce myself. She Eleanor Smith Yanishia. Not Otnet Kachin in Shlon Kia Ani Bashin. Chisha Dashi do she hate Dashinala. It's not Spastek with Nasha. That Nasha. I have been a employee of the BIE at both BIE operated and grant schools for about 17 years total. And the last school I was at Jesus Bus Boarding School. as a business manager. And throughout my time with BIE, I know we've talked about apportionment plans, and I know the BIE has been pushing to consolidate school boards to agency rather than by schools. And I know that if this is done, that it would be detrimental to our schools, to our BIE operated, and especially to our grant schools, because grant schools are operated by the school boards. And I know that there's things that need to go before school boards, sometimes at a moment's notice, usually for hiring, especially in the event of emergency hires. And if you've been in the BIE, you know that it's a very lengthy hiring process to hire individuals, because they have to go through a background check process, which is very cumbersome and can take months. But when we need to hire teachers, we need them right away. And so there's a process for emergency hire, which requires sometimes an emergency school board meeting. And if we have school boards that are consolidated by agency, who probably will only meet during certain times, maybe once a quarter, I don't know how their meetings will be set up, but it's going to work against the schools, because schools will not have immediate access to do hiring, to approve their budgets. Then there's other reports that are due, with time. There's reports that have deadlines to the federal government, to the state, and to the tribe. And so, to hold up their processes is going to affect them negatively. And then in terms of funding, this is not a cost-saving measure. I know that, consolidating, they're saying, but in terms of the funding source, Congress appropriates money to the school boards specifically for the school board purpose. Students have separate funding for ISEP. So the school board funding does not take away from ISEP. It's actually a separate pot of money. So if you take away or reduce that money, all it's doing is reducing the amount of money that the federal government allocates to those schools. So that's the issue of cost, that it's going to take away money from students. That's not true. Being a business manager, I know that how that funding works. So those are the reasons I'm against it, because it's going to work against the school's efficiency and effectiveness, which ultimately affects students in the end. Those are my comments. Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Is there any delegates on the line at this time who would like to provide a statement or a comment? Is there any delegates on the call who would like to provide a comment or a statement at this time? Okay, moving on. Is there anyone who would like to state a reason or a comment at this time? Is there anyone that would like to provide a reason or a comment at this time? Press *6 if you're trying to unmute yourself. Is there anyone that would like to provide a comment or a reason at this time?
Hello, this is Jordan.
Hello.
Hello,
I'll go
I
next.
heard two individuals.
Hello, this is Jordan Natsiri with the Napa School Board Association.
Hello, Mr. Titty. Welcome back. You have, since we lost you, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna restart. So this comment concern is the comments of the Navajo North Agency school board members. They are expressing opposition in this Plan 6. Below are their comments and concerns of the reason why they oppose Plan 6. In the earlier public forums, it was discussed that school board members, stakeholders throughout the Navajo Nation were involved in developing this plan. Their understanding is that this plan was drafted by the Department of Education with no reasoning or purpose behind it other than the reorganization or how would I say it, restructuring of Navajo education. They wanted to express their concerns on how this is an election issue, and when it deals with an election issue, it deals with all Navajo citizens. And so this takeover of schools, this phase is the first takeover of schools that they wanted to express. So overall, this plan has not fully been consulted with school board officials, school administrators, Navajo citizens, parents, and community members. Yesterday, it was discussed that there was vacant school board position was a discussion, and I think I did sort of elaborate on that. These are because they're at-large positions. When you have at-large positions, you have to get full support of all the chapters that are affected. In your plan, there is 4, 5, sometimes up to 7 chapters at an at-large position. And so if there are any vacancies in this new plan, it's going to defeat the purpose of community representation. And so school board stipends was also an issue. Earlier, just recently, there was a comment that was talked about how the government has set aside funding using the ISEP formula. In education, schools are given 1% to school board officials to use as stipends. The BOSBA handles BIE operated funds, and I can assure you that these stipends from the BIE operated side are handled using that formula. We stay below it. School board members, we have 32 schools under our organization. So as far as school board stipends, there was talk about abuse. School board officials only get paid $250 a meeting, and it's once a month. And so that was an issue, and it was talked about. The government is not going to say, hey, they saved money, let's go take it back and use it for other schools. The government is just going to take it back and use it how they wish. Usually that is what happens currently, like with the current fundings, they're waiting for funds to be sent back. It was talked about, local control was talked about. The overall purpose of grant schools, 93, 638, 100, 297, these grant schools are so that local communities can take care of their local schools. They take in the power of handling their schools. That's what Dr. Bob Russell had fought for out at the Rough Rock demonstration school, and that's what had happened. Rough Rock had taken care of their own school, and they pushed Navajo. So we can use that as an example. Right now, this is a political move that is happening, and there's not a plan to support this Plan 6. It was discussed that there is rational and reasoning behind Plan 6, but there hasn't been anything that has been sent through the school. Getting this Plan 6 was difficult. There's all these borders, all these departments that we had to go through. We didn't get it until the day of, so we couldn't really make an informed decision on this plan. So overall, I want to bring up a statistician, Larry Rogers. He was able to provide the previous comments, and I have sent over the comments. A lot of Navajo citizens, stakeholders were in opposition of this Plan 6. You're talking about financial accountability. We have got winded of school administration and staff taking advantage of this system. We did inform the necessary people, and from there, I don't know what had happened to it. School administrators taking $15,000 from the bank. So you're saying it's a school board issue, but yet it's a whole governmental issue. So if you're talking about
Time.
representation, thank you. I'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. City. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, recommendation, or reason at this time? Yes, I see Ms. Kenzel has her hand up. Ma'am, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I was here the past couple of days, but I get 5 minutes, so I come on every single day. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name Shea Bahajan Nicole Kinsel Gishi and Shia Torich Ini Lishle Bit Ani Bashichi Tabaha Dashiche Ashihin Dashanale Natisan Det Nasha. I'm currently the Kaibito School Board President, serving here at Kaibito Boarding School. I'm also a community member here. I'm a parent and I'm a substitute teacher. The past couple of days, I have brought some issues up relating to, I think, pretty much about what Honorable Slater kept bringing up was money, taking the money and putting it back into schools, and also, the embezzlement and things like that regarding school boards. And I placed my position on saying that school boards are not the issue. And regarding into that, I wanted to give some examples that I have faced on my board, along with my board members and my colleagues, for the past, we're going on 5 years now, since we're still here in our positions since the election was upheld. What we face here, and it's all across the nation, but our board has been very vocal in issues that we have seen, been through with the Bureau of Indian Education. We stand firm on a lot of the decisions that come through. And when it comes to financial need or money into our school, a lot of the time we don't approve many of the things that they want, that come from BIE Window Rock. They want signatures, they want approval, they want contracts, and sometimes, most of the time, if we don't agree with it, we put our foot down. That's what school boards are supposed to do, right? And it's a lot of money. Our schools have money. It's just where they're being distributed. And, I've said this before, a lot of the time, the money that we have, a lot of money going to our schools through our teachers, our staff. And, our results are really horrid. We have, F grading schools all across the nation. With the amount of money we pay our staff, we should be a private school. We should be sending out really educated students out there, but it's not that way. And anyways, the majority of the time we put our foot down. And what usually happens when we don't sign or approve things, BIE, because we're a BIE funded school, they like to overdo us. They'll pretty much say, you're not going to sign? Okay, we'll go find somebody else who signs. We'll go to someone above you. So realistically, if you take a step back and look at this, and I know HESI doesn't really understand this unless you've served on a board before, prior to your term as a delegate. If you have not been in education, there's a lot more there is to learn. And that is one of the things. BIE and DODI, they all, elections office, they all have to be accountable. And it's not the school board. We're always reminded that we're on the bottom of the food chain. We're all the way down here where the issues are up higher than us. And that's where we lose the battle every single time, because the chain of command gets pulled on us. And that's where we ask for HESI, our delegates, to support all school board members across the nation, Navajo Nation. And I think that's where, and I don't think, I know that's where the issue is at hand. And that's where HESI needs to come in, and you guys need to make sure that all of the people above us are held accountable when it comes in regards to this. And the apportionment plan is not going to fix anything. You're trying to fix the bottom of the food chain. It should be the other way around. It should be coming from the top. And other than that, I do not support this plan. I think that everyone needs to go back to the drawing board. You guys really need to talk to people who know what is happening down here. You guys need to talk to the people on ground zero, get our input, get our information, get a work session going with all of us, and hear us out. Hear us out and find a plan so you guys can go and attack and fix the issues. But thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Kenzel. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, reason, or recommendation at this time? Please press *6 if you're trying to unmute yourself. Is there anyone who would like to provide a comment, reason, or recommendation at this time?
Yes, I do.
Hello, can you please state your name?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, you have 5 minutes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. My name is Renita Henderson, and I'm a grandparent and also school board member from Sanasti Day School. Now, Kaidinan, Shlonhash, Antoy, Bashishin, Aro, Tonik Oja, Yahai, Tashinala. According Koroba Hastigi, Ashina, Toshi, the neck address, Bikirat Oti. According Hidden Bizarre. And he did no shit at what up in the house. Of course, she had called the enough ido, Kodosato, by a dark tiki do, Biki dark tiki, Aro, they called the listening hearing, they not yediki, so she had Naha Hansen. Of course, she takes a ziniki, a did consciously for the apportionment 6 or the heki. Hala Ebenina, the Shinigi, Yahiti, Dodi, or Yahiki, attend his school board meeting, Nisha Ortate, Don Shiyahi Gahata. Only Hona on that Tagaho Zanda, on that data, Dikwa, what a dain shit, ne? So, hey, Kode. Street, but caught na ho tanigi quan shihati kato kodosato the inil toto. Hagi la you said na hot it. At then I was hit the rasa could be only when not on it, high what our bench the honest. Could the you so old be yard the lagi a chine? Dad, a shake out the chine, but Jay, the hojon or or Nanatahaki $1,000. So $1,000 the 8 data with Yaki. Only the old Hashin a genie, so other all the data, Hunza go hot a dick at what a last at Quatin Hinan, they may question adult need at 10. Survey had no survey, Yahanda he need at 10. On it, none that the Hatashi survey, Dalia, yeah. A conchit and now it was cut the school board. School board, a job, but they know that Nahas. So, a board Nehona had Lopana data, Shinch on a conhaction and latte out, Hagi a o in the betin. Curriculum, Dalia, art, up to date modern technology, Nini con, as co, Bain the Anish. Kashik etot eheta Hudat ito bandajin tada. Ay yesi kodi Wi-Fi baby nahot council delegates biltahanne. Konten Wi-Fi chapter korodane. Ultadot hitanne. Aten Wi-Fi on the hard out and habik hadaj de zita. Kon has instead of kode school board, not a school board, beso tahohe. Aten ye beso. So she quite could eat all her chinta is long laho aqua dajin zone that began Nihedi or Bikini, go Nigit. Oh, I don't know how she belotted that each. I don't lot to unshare Besson Day Nishiki, Jordan at City and Nita Nesta, Nejonako cut. She all cut on she board members in he days in. Okay, Audrey Hodat, Egi Hot Arnott, Annie, and Lenige Angel. George Yan sick case, board members Yan sick Casey, Egit Yahai Dal Nisho. The next Etria that keep a lagonic Etria that he a coma sando chain latte. Eat that eat he. A hot Yahai Shikodoha speed only. The reapportionment 600 Neniki Autopen Yada Shishko. Only the Okojo the bell, Hugo Yahanan Katnahalo, what Naha, big Tahojila. Hajoya and Han Setaha case, Hajoya Kon Ha Yat Ekonda, Nisto de Hajoya Kon Han San in Han Seta case, Hat Ila Esto Kode, Benchi, she Benchi Yataho. He must send on his chain later. Biyadaho den sinda case a young nejo but jehulihegi den so case na kon hat na kon so ken hinale kebon sida case has jota zanden da nish ashoden hidini do le chindo kon egoda
Time.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, reason, or recommendation at this time? Are there any delegates on the line that would like to provide a statement or a comment at this time?
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
You're coming in very faintly, sir. Can you go ahead and speak up, please?
Yeah, I'd like to make, I'm just a concerned member of Tenassi community.
Hello, sir. Can you please state your name? And then you have 5 minutes.
My name is Tommy Nakai. Although I'm not a school board member, I worked with the school board before. So I know how I kind of know how it is. Yesterday, I heard, I was listening in yesterday, and you were saying that Plan 6 was created so it because a lot of the school board members and administrators were corrupt and a lot of nepotism. That was the reason. That was the reason you guys were saying that. That's why I also disagree with your plan. I think it's wrong. I think you should just that the lady before me that spoke. I agree with her. This plan is not right, especially for small schools. They're going to lose a voice in what's going on in the community. If you bring in other people from other areas as a school board member, they don't know. They wouldn't know the area. If our local school board members, they know the people, they know the area, they know what's needed. for the school, it is true, a lot of them have relatives that work over there. And however, they have a lot of relatives like nieces, grandkids that go to school. Their children too, their children. So they do, these local school board members do care about the school. So that is my concern. You should go back and look at that, your plan again, and redo it and try to work with the local school board. Because you're taking a lot of their voices away, especially the smaller schools. So I totally disagree. And like I said, the previous lady that spoke, I agree with her. You guys should be helping the school board members. I noticed that you could always work against them. That's all I like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nakai. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, a reason, or recommendation at this time? Hello, you have 5 minutes.
5 minutes away on me. 5 minutes on yet 5 minutes no. I was a client on the clinic today that's kill here on school board so 3 years has been 40 years as a team a call all covenant ye that the all yeah bunches the case action bunches the case which is the thing bunches the case where you know what are they are a board need or this has it never no has it what I don't know never it's a long day my bill for something but no board long for something but no teachers at the what are all yeah what are behind what are on because that kid all this and pesos then peso to catch it either action so glass action but no things even it chin the ten out this house I'm not sure though. Finally, they bought nine slip at they'll go to the Shattenson. I call board at Legon that day in the I don't want to shadow this and I got never tell any now I have seen only so never tell they either I got a senior yes session at our senior yes session but I never tell no was action beneath it say I was sunshine Wait, but it's chain. Those action that the action is calm. As keen as it's not then.
Thank you, Ms. Nakai.
Oh,
Is there anyone who would like to provide a comment, reason, or recommendation at this time? Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, reason, or recommendation at this time? Please press star 6 if you are trying to unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hello, can I help you, ma'am?
Hello, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, please state your name and then the organization you're representing or your chapter, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay. This is Marlene Belta from Black Mesa Chapter Community. And I'd just like to make my comment very brief, but I hope everybody would understand. Everybody's talking about accountability for the grant school and contract school. So right now, I've been listening since Monday on these hearings that's going on. And I'd like just to put in my comment to say that since we were told by Slater that to talk more about student academic achievement, according on this case, BIE and Doty had not been accountable to all schools on Navajo Nation. They're supposed to be providing technical assistance to each school. And Navajo Nation do not have its own curriculum for their schools. Not even Navajo language and culture curriculum. Both BIE and Doty need to meet with school board and administrators from each school to strategize improvement plans. And then Board of Education need to advocate for student needs at home setting, bus routes, power line and water line infrastructures that are lacking at home, including HESI committee. I believe they are all council delegates. They should be advocating for home improvement where it starts. The teaching starts from home. And there are a lot of students that are coming from broken homes. That's where it should be fixed first. And then the management of school on their finances, I believe they are managing according to the federal regulation. Just 1 to 3 schools have mismanaged their funds, and the rest of the other schools are being attacked, including the school board. So that is my comment for now, and I strongly, respectfully oppose Plan 6. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, a reason, or a recommendation at this time?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you.
My name is Phyllis Toticini. I'm a board member for Sanasi Day School.
Hello, ma'am.
The
You have
comment
5
I want to
minutes.
make, okay? I want to say also, too, that I am not really crazy about any of the plans, even Plan 6. Why? Because I feel like the HESI committee does not know all about the reorganization or the reapportionment plans. Just like the other speakers have said, they do not come to the schools. They do not come to the chapters, our community chapters. This is just something that is being rushed with no real thought behind it. And it's senseless. If they want to do reapportionment, do it right. Don't just do it because you say one or two people misuse funds. You got to have better reasons. Yes, our students are losing. Our students are not learning. One good example last year, between BIE and the Navajo tribe, they said no student assessment. I can say that our students did not learn anything through that pandemic period. And that should be a bother to anybody in the field of education. Like one of the members said here, HESI committee, Dodie, they need to go back to the drawing board. And don't rush these meetings on the public. Do not rush meetings on the public. You got to know what you're doing. You can't just give them a day and then change it around, expect people to be at the meeting on the spur of the moment. You have to know how to plan. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, a reason, or a recommendation at this time? Is there anyone who would like to provide a comment, a reason, or a recommendation at this time? Hello, Mr. City.
Hi, I'm back. This is going to just be a personal experience that I've had growing up on the Navajo Nation. So this is a comment as a Navajo voter. I know that yesterday it was talked about, college was talked about on how students are not ready for college. I think one of the things that we really need to focus on right now is what are our students interested in? I know the people I grew up with, the people who attended school, went on to further their education. They were more into school, they were into education. But then there's another side to it. There's people who were more hands-on. They wanted to get into construction, electrician. This plan, that rationale, it's pretty much putting down the students who don't want to go back to college. There's a lot of other opportunities out there, and I think the focus is really different. I hate to say this, but we're not white. We have a different mindset. We have a different atmosphere than our white counterparts. I think that's what you would say, but it's really different. We have grandparents to take care of. We have parents to take care of. We even have our own siblings to take care of. As you know, Navajo Nation is really the kinship is there. So students might not want to go back to school. I know that was used as a point. I went back to school. I struggled in college, but the only reason why I struggled was because I didn't push myself in high school. The only reason why I didn't push myself in high school is the same things: family, friends, family, my community. I didn't see myself going back to college as some of the people in my class, but I pushed myself. I'm like, all right, well, let me go to college. That push came from my parents. I was going to take off and do construction, but my dad told me, like, hey, just go back to school. You're smart enough. That motivation was at the home. It wasn't from the school. So that's the whole reason why I went into college and continued my education. And so right now, I'm actually in a graduate program. Not because my parents are pushing me, but because I'm pushing myself. But there's a lot of kids out there. I know people who I grew up with, they're more hands-on. They don't want to go back to college. Why push them into college when we can push them a different direction, into construction, there's all these vocational positions open. Why not get together with the colleges and make a plan for those students who want to do hands-on work? There's a better life out there other than an office job. And I can say for a fact, my brothers are happy. They do constructions. They do what they like. So education is not always key in some points. So I just wanted to make that. I wanted to give you my experience of why, just more a personal comment. So I know college was pushed yesterday, but really some of our students don't want to go back to college. They want to do construction. So that should be the focus. And I do agree with the curriculum that the comment made. Why not get together with the school boards? Because a lot of these school boards, they know a lot. Coming into the position that I have with Navajo Nation, I learn a lot from the school board members. And the reason why, I guess another experience is that there was a comment that said something about we send our kids out to school, but they come back and they don't get positions. I know the reason why now is I didn't have the experience at the time. I used to complain. I didn't have the experience. So I guess just to throw that out there, thank you for giving me more time.
Thank you, Mr. Atsidi. Is there anyone else who'd like to provide a comment, a recommendation, or a reason at this time? Do we have any council delegates on the line that would like to provide a comment or make a statement? Yes, Ms. Kinzel, I see that you raised your hand.
Oh, thank you. I just, there was a comment some of the community members made not too long ago. I just want to make a quick comment on that or reference. The one thing that I think that really irritates me is that school boards are being looked at from a poor position. Just like the gentleman earlier stated about because one person or because one board embezzled, it makes us all look bad. And, you know, as a school board member, personally for me, you know, I'm only 33 years old, or I just turned 33. I've been on this board since I was 28. I came in this board really young, and, you know, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from my elderly school board colleagues all across Navajo Nation. And, you know, people always say, our Navajo people here, you know, you need to get involved in your community. And a lot of us younger generation, it's a whole new generation now. And, you know, for me and between my children, you know, there's a really big disconnect because they're living in a whole different generation right now. And I'm probably the closest person, or people my age are the closest people who can understand our kids. You know, the grandparents, my grandparents, their grandparents that are still here today. It's really hard for them to connect to our children and understand the world that they're living in now. And, you know, I think that's something that with this plan that is here, you're really, and I have to reiterate, you're going to be taking the voice from the people. And, you know, us as parents, we are the voice of our children. We know what's going on. And as a school board member, I'm very, very active in my community. And I know a lot of my kids in my community, and it's mostly because of my children. My children have friends all around here, relatives across Navajo Nation and Navajo Mountain, Page, Shanto, Tuba, all the way to Kienta, like all the way to Tohatchi, where my dad's family's from. You know, I really push my children to know who and where their family are from. And you know, when I speak on behalf of students here for Kaibito, I see a lot of the homes that they live in. I see people living in shacks. I was surprised. I found out the other day. Found out some of our students were still living in sheds, you know? And like a woman said earlier, we're living in multi-generational homes still. A lot of our homes are broken. A lot of people don't have two parents in the houses to raise their children. Children are raising their brothers and sisters. It's a whole different generation. And, you know, and if there's a regionalization in school boards, that's going to be demolished. That's that connection with our communities and with our families and our students, our children. It's going to be gone. And that's one thing that I really have to put in there is that Hesse, I urge you to relook at this plan and see what you are going to be doing to these communities. I plead for you guys to pull this, only because, you know, you guys have the power. I hate to say it, but you really do. As a council delegate and collection of leaders from all over the Navajo Nation, you guys hold that power to pull this and remove it. So none of us have to worry about any of this, so we can move on and worry about more things that we can help progress our schools. Because I will tell you, they are failing. Our children are failing right now, especially in this pandemic. They're being pushed through the system. And I can tell you there's kids that we pushed into high school this past year, actually all years in past. They don't know how to read. There's some students who don't know how to read in high school. And I actually substitute in Page Unified School District. And I see kids come through every single day that don't know how to read, don't know how to write, don't know anything. And it's horrible. It's so sad to know that I'm a leader inside of this school where these students come from. And I have to look at them every day and think, I failed these students. You know, that's something that I have to live with. And I ask you, Hesse, to look at that and understand it. Because these are our children. Just like I will agree with what Honorable Slater said, make this about the children. This isn't about the children, and we need to look out for them. Time. Don't regionalize. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kenzel. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, a reason, or a recommendation at this time?
Hello.
Hello. Hello, sir. Can you please state your name?
Kevin Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, you have 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to thank the Hesse committee. And like that lady said, they have the power and authority to move things. And I would have been nice if we heard the chairman, Daniel So, on this call to hear his reasons why he wants to go with Plan 6. As a leader, it's really good for you to be in these sessions like this and be involved with the community for Q&A. And we appreciate your assistance, but it'd be good if the chair or the vice chair was here. That way we can hear their side of the Plan 6. Number one is the students. Right now we have maybe 60 board members, but now we want to reduce it down to 30, something like that. But the effect is what are the benefits for the students? How are the students going to benefit from this? Right now, we're all gathered for these 3 hours to communicate and come together on an agreement. But the main thing is we got students in class, we got students at home. How are we going to get these students back on a strong curriculum education path? It's very important. Right now, we're just being dictated by this virus, flu, close, open, close, open. But the main thing that is missing is the students' in-person education. That's very important for a young student, especially the kindergartens in that age category, the early childhood. So this Plan 6 doesn't really, I haven't seen anything as far as the positive or the green stars that are going to happen out of this Plan 6. Like if I'm selling you a refrigerator and an energy refrigerator for $5,000, I would, as a salesman, I would tell you the 10 important things that's going to happen once you get this refrigerator in your home. So with this Plan 6, that's what I would like to see. Just on a summary sheet, you know, what are your goals? What are your goals for the school board, the students, the staff, the community down the line? And I know if this happens, Plan 6, there's going to be a lot of revisions in policies and procedures for the Navajo stipend policy and travel and handbooks for the school board officials. And right now, you're not showing us any of those revisions. That would be good to see. That way we can see, you know, what are your detailed policies and procedures for school boards if the Plan 6 is approved. Other than that, I just think every time you talk about Plan 6, just think behind you, what are the students going to get out of it? As we come to work at schools, educators, school boards, and teachers, our number one focus is how we're going to better our students and communicate with their parents, because like Jordan said, parent influence is very important, and he was motivated by his parents to continue education. And that's all I got to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. In regards to Chair So, he sends his apologies. Unfortunately, right now they are doing the budget and finance budget hearings, and he is participating in that because he is a sponsor. I do hope that we do have other delegates on the line that will provide a comment or statement at this time. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, a reason, or a recommendation at this time? Yes, I see a hand that's raised. Shauna Deswood.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, you have 5 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Shauna Deswood. I'm a community member. I'm registered to vote in the Upper Fruitland chapter, but my registration is in Chinle, Arizona. I'm originally from Lookachigay, Arizona, but again, I have to come to work, so I choose, and I have to live in Farmington. So I just want to express that, again, you know, all of this legislation changes, this all affects our students, and that's how we need to have in mind. You know, again, what are the benefits of proposing, you know, regionalizing our school boards? We have to keep in mind that our students have unique attributes, as well as our communities. Our communities have unique attributes, and those have to be taken into consideration when we're talking about regionalizing. This affects autonomy of your communities. How much decision-making do you have as parents into your children's education, into your communities? Long-term, you know, these changes will affect their participation in that community too. I think I said before, when you have information, it should affect your decision-making process. And so if we take our parents out of that at that uniqueness, those unique attributes. You know, how are we teaching our kids and our students to make decisions, to be members of the community, to respond with our civic duty and attending those meetings? Parent engagement. This is part of parent engagement again. I just want to say that, you know, as a voting member of the tribe, I'm concerned about regionalization. I oppose this legislation or this change to the school boards. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Deswood. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment, a recommendation, or state a reason at this time?
I got one more comment. If I am
Hello,
allowed.
Mr. City, or excuse me, hello, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay, I was looking at your Plan 6, and I think if you do Plan 6, I think all the schools should be split up with the school board officials. For example, Alamo and Alamo and Tohajali, not just them be separated because they're satellite. I mean, there's other schools that you want to combine, but if you get the Google Maps and do the measure the miles, there's some schools that are far away from like the same distance as Tohajali, Alamo. So that way, I think it was a little bit unfair that some of the schools are still not divided as far as school boards. Navajo Prep, Alamo, Rama, Tohajali. I mean, I believe you can make Tohajali and Alamo combine because the distance from Hana Glen Community School to Nutnijine is probably the same distance from Alamo, even shorter if you take the back roads from Alamo to Tohajali. And Alamo and Tohajali, I think they both share a Navajo PD. So that's one thing that I wanted to say, is that all the schools should be affected with this transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, recommendation, or reason at this time?
Hello, this is Jordan again.
Hello, Mr. City.
Thank
You
you,
have
Ms.
5 minutes.
I'm going to try to make this quick again. Within the previous public forums, it was discussed that how Doty was an overall, how do I say it, they oversee BIE schools, BIE funded schools. I noticed that Ms. Benali is also on, formerly Priscilla Manuelito, Board of Education Chair. Yesterday, Slater had discussed about the whole taking out Department of Education, putting in a referendum to take out the Department of Education. From the comments I've heard, I listened to it again. That's not what board members are asking for. We are asking that, how do we hold the upper management accountable? How do we put Doty accountable? How do we make Board of Education accountable? Looking at the history here at the Napa Old Cut School Board Association, the BOSBA, formerly known as NASBA, Department of Education, Navajo Board of Education, and the Health Education Human Services Committee, formerly the Education Committee, used to work together to fight the Bureau of Indian Education, because they are a federal entity. That's what I see the history here at the BOSBA from former Executive Director Pauline Billy. We have sent over a number of resolutions to Board of Education, to Health Education Human Services Committee, but it's never really paid attention to because they see school board members as political people. I mean, if you really look at it, they talk from the grassroots. School board members are grassroots leaders. And you'd be surprised how many people, how many school board members know. I've heard, I came into this position thinking, well, let me see what I can do to make these school boards more accountable. They were actually a lot more accountable than I had, I guess, how I had figured, or what I had thought. So you're really taking the voice from parents. You're really taking the voice from children. They are the local root, the grassroots advocates for their education system. So when you really think about it, you're pulling that plug. If you take in, for example, Department of Education's Head Start program, look how that had crumbled. That is handled at the Window Rock office. If you look at the Department of Transportation, how many times have your roads been graded? How many times have your roads been looked at? If you look at all these 638 programs that the Navajo Nation has, then you'll see what the deficiencies in Navajo. So like the perfect example is Department of Transportation. So even going with the police officers, so Hodgley only has one police officer on like per shift. And Mr. Johnson did report that we share with Alamo. Look at the difference. So going into, I know yesterday there was talks about how Gallup-McKinley County has one school board. Go on to the New Mexico Public Education Department and see their grades. Their grade is low, so that shouldn't be something to be bragging about. So I think McKinley County was like at the tail end of successful schools in New Mexico. So if you really look at it, school boards have that authority to make that power at the local level. It's just the federal side we're really trying to fight, and that's why our schools are failing. So overall, if we all get on one page, you'll see Navajo education flourish. We'll be doing a lot better than other tribes. And from the last time I've heard, BIE on Navajo is the best BIE, I guess, just as far as education. So compared to other tribes, Navajo region is actually doing a lot better than other tribal BIE organizations. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Etzity. Is there any delegates who would like to provide a comment or a statement at this time? Is there anyone from the public who would like to provide a statement, a reason, or recommendation at this time? Yes, I see a hand raised. C. Barber, can you please state your name and then you have 5 minutes.
Hello, Yat-eh. My name is Cecilia Barber. I am speaking as a parent. My child has been with the BIE schools since the FACE program, and she's a senior now at Navajo Prep. From my observation of Doty, it would be nice if they could submit their public hearing information out early as possible, because a lot of parents and the public usually don't know what is going on with the information that Doty gets out. And it didn't just happen now, it happened before the pandemic when they were having the public hearings. So Doty needs to be getting at their information out early. And we need to let the public know, especially those that have students attending public schools, because usually those parents don't know what goes on in the BIE schools or the grant schools. And then the second one, the reapportionment, that should not go through because some of the school board members will be on school board members or school boards of communities they don't even know anything about. They have no students attending that school. So like, let's say if I were to be a board member on school and Flagstaff, how would I know what goes on in Flagstaff? I don't have nobody that lives out there. So we have to think about that. And it goes back to, yes, being aware of your constituents. And they're the ones that vote in the school board members. So they need to be aware of what goes on in their schools. And then the third one, I am wondering why Navajo Prep is isolated and they're not included under other schools. Shouldn't they be part of Northwest High School and Aztec Dormitory, since they're all BIE schools, or they provide services for the northern portion? So why is that like that? While all the other schools are being tossed in with a larger number of schools. And then the fourth one is, I don't think Doty employees should serve on school boards. If the council members are not allowed to serve on tribal entities, it should go across the board with schools, Doty employees and school boards. Because how can you control yourself if you're making your own laws and then you're trying to carry those out in the schools also? So those are just some concerns that I have about this reapportionment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, a reason, or a recommendation at this time?
Hello.
Hello, sir. Can you please state your name and then you have 5 minutes?
Okay. My name is Kirby Johnson, and I'm a board member with Kintail Residential Campus Incorporated. I just like to make a comment. I think there's just so much misinformation being spread around by the BOSBA, DGSA, that we really need to come down to this as just being reapportionment for the schools. And we're adding in all these other variables that we can't control as school board members, like home, but we can, and economic status. But at the school, we can control the environment there for the students, where they have a safe place to learn and maybe eat. So, but I am also opposed to Plan 6. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Is there anyone else who would like to provide a comment, a reason, or a recommendation at this time? We have 15 minutes left before the end of the meeting. Is there any delegates online who would like to provide a comment or make a statement at this time? Is there anyone from the public who would like to make a comment, a reason, or a recommendation at this time? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make a reason, or excuse me, make a comment, state a reason or a recommendation at this time? Mr. So, would you like to make a comment or a statement at this time?
Who are you asking me?
Yes, Mr. So.
No, not really. I'm just listening to a lot of the public comment feedback. But I guess on behalf of the committee, the group, we're definitely taking a lot of the comments that have been stated, and they are going to be compiled as part of the public record. And we thank you for a lot of the comments that have been stated, and these concerns will definitely be forwarded on to the committee. And there are some concerns that are of note, such as like what's the plan going to be going forth as Plan 6 is implemented. And I think that's one that's going to be, I think it's a discussion item, even for myself and probably other people as well. But at this point, I don't have much to say or offer. But again, just to clarify, as was mentioned before, this is strictly just about school board apportionment and the filling of the seats for the election process. All the other stuff is it's not a part of what this issue is about. And again, just trying to refocus what the purpose of the public hearing about was, trying to collect as much input regarding the court's order on Plan 6 and trying to solicit additional comment about how the plan can be made better, how it can be improved, and any changes, edits, and suggestions to move things forward. But that's all I got to add.
Thank you, Mr. So. If there's no one else at this time who would like to make a comment, state a reason or recommendation, in closing, I'd like to thank you all for participating and attending this public hearing via Zoom. If you'd like to attend the public hearings in person, tomorrow's hearing will be at Crown Point NTU. Friday will be at Fort Defiance Chapter. And we will be continuing with these Zoom conferences, public hearings, Thursday and Friday from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. If you did not provide an oral testimony but still would like to submit written comments, please send those written comments to Health, Education, and Human Services Committee. Attention, School Board Apportionment, P.O. Box 670, Winter Rock, Arizona, 86515. Fax number 928-871-7474. If you can also email those comments to schoolboard@navajo-nsn.gov. Thank you so much for attending. Have a great day.
I just wanted to remind everyone that we just got an update from the next location. This is for anyone that wants to attend in person for tomorrow over at Navajo Technical University. Their requirement of their facility is that anyone who shows up in person has to show or provide proof of their vaccination card for COVID-19. So again, for those that want to attend in person for tomorrow, you have to provide some sort of proof that you have been vaccinated. So if you have your card or a copy, even a photograph of your vaccine card, definitely bring that with you. That's the latest update that we're told from NTU.
So what time is the hearing in Crown Point tomorrow?
The in-persons are all consistently, they're all starting at 9 o'clock to 12 p.m.
9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.